And that's what we said we're going to do together today. Now, if you've seen titles like this before, you've probably rolled your eyes, and I understand why. In today's world, we're flooded with quick fixes, miracle cures, and flashy headlines. But here's the truth behind some of these claims: there is often a small seed of science. The challenge is separating fact from fiction and gimmick from genuine strategy. When it comes to sexual health, vitality, and especially erectile function in men over 35, there's a lot of noise out there. Pills like Viagra and Cialis have become household names, and yes, they can be incredibly effective, but they don't work for everyone. Some men experience headaches, flushing, or low blood pressure. Others find the effects inconsistent, and many people, especially those over 60, simply don't want to rely on a pill every single time they want intimacy. Here sits what we shall explore in this consultation-style session. This is not just about men. Women listening may be wondering, why does this matter for me? The truth is, a partner's sexual health affects intimacy, confidence, and relationships. And many of the same principles that help men with circulation, hormones, and pelvic wellness also help women with lubrication, orgasm, and bladder control. We're in this together. So the real question is, can something as simple as a nighttime drink actually make a difference in blood flow, hormones, or stamina? The role of nighttime hydration and circulation in sexual health, and why certain drinks can be powerful. The truth about natural nitric oxide boosters, foods and drinks that relax blood vessels better than some pills. The real science of blood flow and why men lose erectile firmness with age. Finally, what the research actually says about specific drinks before bed, from beet juice to pomegranate, tart cherry, and warm milk with certain compounds. How hormones like testosterone, estrogen, and even insulin interact with erectile function. Pelvic floor muscle health. Why Kegels aren't just for women and how men benefit too. Now, if you've seen titles like this before, you've probably rolled your eyes, and I understand why. In today's world, we're flooded with quick fixes, miracle cures, and flashy headlines. But here's the truth behind some of these claims: there is often a small seed of science. The challenge is separating fact from fiction and gimmick from genuine strategy. And that's what we said we're going to do together today. When it comes to sexual health, vitality, and especially erectile function in men over 35, there's a lot of noise out there. Pills like Viagra and Cialis have become household names, and yes, they can be incredibly effective, but they don't work for everyone. Some men experience headaches, flushing, or low blood pressure. Others find the effects inconsistent, and many people, especially those over 60, simply don't want to rely on a pill every single time they want intimacy. So the real question is, can something as simple as a nighttime drink actually make a difference in blood flow, hormones, or stamina? This is not just about men. Women listening may be wondering, why does this matter for me? The truth is, a partner's sexual health affects intimacy, confidence, and relationships. And many of the same principles that help men with circulation, hormones, and pelvic wellness also help women with lubrication, orgasm, and bladder control. We're in this together. Here sits what we shall explore in this consultation-style session. The real science of blood flow and why men lose erectile firmness with age. The role of nighttime hydration and circulation in sexual health, and why certain drinks can be powerful. The truth about natural nitric oxide boosters, foods and drinks that relax blood vessels better than some pills. How hormones like testosterone, estrogen, and even insulin interact with erectile function. Pelvic floor muscle health. Why Kegels aren't just for women and how men benefit too. Finally, what the research actually says about specific drinks before bed, from beet juice to pomegranate, tart cherry, and warm milk with certain compounds. You'll leave this session not with hype, but with clarity. We'll break down which options have real evidence, which are more myth than medicine, and which ones are safe to try at home. Most importantly, I want you to know this: your body isn't broken. Aging changes circulation, hormones, and pelvic support, but it doesn't mean vitality has to end. Whether you're 35 or 80, you deserve tools that help you feel confident, connected, and fully alive. So let's break this down without judgment, just truth. Let's start at the foundation: blood flow. An erection is, at its core, a hydraulic event. Think of it like filling a balloon with water. When the pipes are smooth, the valves are strong, and the pressure is steady, the balloon inflates firm and full. But if those pipes narrow or the valves leak, the balloon doesn't hold the same firmness. The same is true for the penis. Inside the penis are two sponge-like chambers called the corpora cavernosa. When you're aroused, your brain sends signals down the spinal cord, releasing nitric oxide, a chemical messenger that tells blood vessels to relax and open up. Blood rushes in, the chambers expand, and a firm erection develops. To stay hard, little muscles at the base act like valves, trapping blood inside until release. Now here's the key: as men age, several changes interfere with this process. Blood vessel health declines. The endothelium, that delicate inner lining of arteries, becomes less efficient. Just like a garden hose left out in the sun, the walls stiffen. Research from the Cleveland Clinic shows endothelial dysfunction is one of the earliest markers of erectile decline. Nitric oxide levels fall. The body simply produces less of it after age 40. Think of nitric oxide as nature's relaxed signal. Without enough of it, arteries stay tight and less blood flows in. Testosterone dips. After age 35, testosterone gradually declines by about 1% per year. That doesn't just lower libido, it also reduces the density of nitric oxide receptors in penile tissue, making erections less responsive. Circulatory conditions creep in: high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol. All of these damage the arteries that supply the penis, sometimes even before they damage the heart. In fact, studies from the Mayo Clinic suggest erectile dysfunction can be an early warning sign of cardiovascular disease by as much as 3 to 5 years. So when an 80-year-old man says, "I found a drink that works better than pills," what he's really describing is not magic. It's circulation being supported in a way his body can finally use. And here's where it gets interesting. Unlike medications, which force blood vessels open for a short period, certain natural compounds actually nourish the endothelium. They feed the lining of blood vessels so it can do its job better. Think of it as oiling the hinges rather than forcing the door open. Now let me ask you this: have you ever noticed how your erections respond differently when you're well hydrated versus when you're dehydrated? Or when you've eaten a heavy fatty meal compared to a lighter plant-based one? That's blood flow at work in real time. Here's a practical takeaway you can start with tonight. Before bed, avoid alcohol and heavy meals within 2 hours of sleep. Both impair nitric oxide and increase nighttime blood pressure fluctuations. Instead, consider something light, hydrating, and circulation friendly. We'll get into the exact drinks in a moment. And if this resonates, let me know in the comments. You're not alone if you've noticed these changes. Many men and their partners share this same story, but it's rarely talked about openly. Let's shift our focus to something most people overlook: the timing of hydration and circulation at night. Many men assume that what happens in the bedroom is all about testosterone or libido, but in reality, erections are primarily a vascular event, and your nighttime habits have a huge impact on how well your body manages blood flow. Think of your circulatory system like a river. During the day, it's busy carrying nutrients, oxygen, and hormones everywhere. But at night, especially while you sleep, your body goes into repair mode. Blood flow redistributes. Hormones are released, vessels relax and recover. This is also when men experience nocturnal erections, sometimes called nighttime or morning wood. They're not just a sign of arousal, they're actually a health check. These erections are your body's way of keeping penile tissue oxygenated, flexible, and strong. Now here's where hydration comes in. If you go to bed even mildly dehydrated, your blood becomes a little thicker, circulation slows, and your cardiovascular system has to work harder to push oxygen through those vessels. For a man in his 20s, that might not matter much. But for a man in his 50, 60, or 80 with arteries that are already a little stiff, that difference can mean weaker nighttime erections and slower recovery. On the other hand, supporting hydration and circulation before bed can set the stage for better overnight repair. It's almost like giving your blood vessels a spa treatment while you sleep. But here's the nuance: too much fluid right before bed can cause frequent trips to the bathroom, especially in men with prostate enlargement. So the goal isn't guzzling water at midnight. It's about choosing the right type of hydration in the right amount, something that supports blood flow without overwhelming your bladder. Let me give you a simple analogy. Imagine your pelvic floor and bladder like a hammock holding a water balloon. Too much pressure and the balloon leaks, but with the right balance, the system stays supported, steady, and functional. This is why older men sometimes feel frustrated. They want to hydrate for circulation, but they don't want to be up 3 times at night. Here's a practical approach. Stop heavy fluid intake about 2 hours before bed. In that window, if you're choosing a nighttime drink, make it something circulation friendly and bladder kind. A warm, modest-sized drink works better than a tall, cold one. Warmth helps blood vessels relax, and the smaller volume keeps the bladder calmer. And we'll talk about exactly which drinks fit that description shortly. But before we do, I want you to understand this. Hydration and circulation are like the soil your sexual health grows from. Pills may stimulate a flower to bloom quickly, but if the soil is dry and depleted, the flower won't last long. Nourish the soil and you nourish the entire system. If you've ever wondered why some men say a simple bedtime routine improves their stamina more than a prescription, this is the foundation. They improve circulation during the body's natural repair window. Now that we've built the foundation with blood flow and nighttime hydration, let's talk about one of the most fascinating pieces of the puzzle: nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the body's natural vasodilator. Think of it like your circulatory system's relaxation signal. When nitric oxide is released, blood vessels widen, pressure decreases, and oxygen-rich blood can flow more easily to where it's needed, including the penis. Without nitric oxide, there is no erection. Here's the challenge. As we age, the body simply makes less of it. By age 40, nitric oxide levels begin to decline, and by age 60 or 70, production can be less than half of what it was in youth. That's why pills like Viagra and Cialis don't actually create nitric oxide. They just make the body hold on to what little is already there. If you're running low to begin with, those pills don't always deliver the same effect. This is where certain foods and drinks become powerful allies. They don't act like medication, but they give your body the raw materials to produce more nitric oxide naturally. The two most researched categories are nitrate-rich foods and drinks. Beets and beet juice are the stars here. Once consumed, dietary nitrates are converted by your saliva and gut bacteria into nitric oxide. Studies on older adults have shown that a single serving of beet juice can improve blood pressure and circulation within hours. Think of it like giving your arteries a fresh coat of paint. They open up more easily. Polyphenol-rich foods and drinks. Pomegranate juice is one of the best examples. Polyphenols are plant compounds that protect the endothelium, the lining of blood vessels, and stimulate nitric oxide release. In clinical studies, men who drank pomegranate juice daily reported improved erection quality and stamina over time. The effect isn't instant like a pill, it's cumulative, like exercising a muscle. Now let me pause here to bust a myth. You may have heard natural remedies don't work. Only medication does, but that's not true. The evidence may not be as dramatic or fast-acting, but the impact is very real. In fact, many cardiologists now recommend beet juice or pomegranate juice alongside traditional therapies because they improve vascular health on a deeper level. So what does this mean in practical terms? If you're considering a bedtime drink, try this. A small glass of beet juice or diluted pomegranate juice about 60-90 minutes before sleep. That timing allows your body to metabolize the nitrates or polyphenols and put them to work during the first few hours of deep sleep, the same window when testosterone rises and tissue repair occurs. And here's a bonus. Women benefit too. Improved nitric oxide and circulation mean better arousal response, stronger lubrication, and even healthier bladder support. Remember, sexual wellness is not gender isolated. Circulation is a universal foundation. If this makes sense to you, let me know in the comments. I love hearing your stories. They remind us all that these issues are common, normal, and absolutely worth talking about. So far, we've talked about blood flow, hydration, and nitric oxide. But there's another layer we can't ignore: hormones. Erections aren't just plumbing, they're chemistry and signaling. And the balance of hormones, testosterone, estrogen, insulin, even cortisol, determines how well the system functions. Let's start with testosterone. After age 35, testosterone naturally declines about 1% per year. By the time a man reaches his 60 or 70, his levels may be 30–50% lower than in his youth. That drop doesn't just affect sex drive. Testosterone is also a vascular hormone. It increases nitric oxide synthase, the enzyme that actually produces nitric oxide inside penile tissue. In other words, without adequate testosterone, the spark plug for erections weakens. But here's the twist. Testosterone doesn't work in isolation. It's in a dance with other hormones. Estrogen. Men produce small amounts of estrogen from testosterone. With aging and weight gain, that conversion can accelerate. Too much estrogen blunts testosterone's effects. It's like having the right keys, but the locks don't fit anymore. Insulin. High blood sugar and insulin resistance damage blood vessels and nerves. In fact, diabetes is one of the strongest predictors of erectile dysfunction. When insulin isn't well controlled, it interferes with nitric oxide and starves tissues of proper circulation. Cortisol. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which not only reduces testosterone production but also constricts blood vessels. Think of cortisol as your body putting the brakes on pleasure to prioritize survival. Now, why do bedtime drinks matter here? Because certain nutrients influence this delicate hormonal balance. For example, tart cherry juice contains natural melatonin, which supports deeper sleep. And deep sleep is when the pituitary gland releases luteinizing hormone, the signal that tells the testes to make testosterone. Poor sleep equals poor testosterone. Supporting sleep chemistry indirectly supports sexual chemistry. Warm milk with L-tryptophan doesn't just calm the nervous system. Tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin, which later converts to melatonin. Again, better sleep, better testosterone cycles. Pomegranate polyphenols have been linked to reduced oxidative stress in the testes, supporting healthier testosterone production over time. This is why some 70 minus or 80-year-old men genuinely say this works better than pills. They're not just getting a temporary boost in blood flow, they're nourishing the underlying hormonal and vascular systems, allowing their body to function more like it did years earlier. And this applies to women too. As estrogen declines in perimenopause and menopause, circulation to the vagina, clitoris, and bladder changes. That's why some women experience dryness, weaker orgasms, or incontinence. Supporting nitric oxide and hormone balance through nutrition and lifestyle can ease these changes and restore confidence. Here's your practical takeaway. If you're looking for one simple step tonight, choose a bedtime drink that supports not just circulation, but also sleep quality. Because without restorative sleep, testosterone and growth hormone can't rise. No amount of pills, supplements, or quick fixes can replace what happens naturally in deep sleep. We've explored circulation, hydration, nitric oxide, and hormones. But there's one more key player in sexual health that doesn't get nearly enough attention: the pelvic floor. Most people think of the pelvic floor as something only women need to worry about for childbirth recovery, bladder control, or prolapse. But the truth is, men have a pelvic floor too, and it's absolutely essential for sexual function. Think of your pelvic floor like a hammock made of muscles and connective tissue. For women, it supports the bladder, uterus, and rectum. For men, it supports the bladder, rectum, and crucially, the base of the penis. When these muscles contract and relax in balance, they act like a pump, controlling urination, stabilizing erections, and powering ejaculation. Now, here sits the catch. As men age, just like other muscles in the body, the pelvic floor can weaken. And when that happens, you may notice erections that don't stay as firm, difficulty controlling when you ejaculate, dribbling after urination, or in some cases, trouble reaching climax at all. This is where strengthening the pelvic floor comes in. A study published by urology experts showed that men with erectile dysfunction who practiced pelvic floor exercises, often called Kegels, regained significantly stronger function within a few months. For some, the improvement was as powerful as medication. So how do you do this? Here's a simple way to find your pelvic floor. Next time you're urinating, try to stop the stream mid-flow. The muscles you feel contracting are your pelvic floor. Now, don't practice during urination regularly. That's just to identify them. Instead, practice when sitting or lying down. Try this. Contract those muscles gently for 5 seconds. Relax for 5 seconds. Repeat 10 times. Do this 2 to 3 times a day. Over time, you'll build strength, endurance, and coordination in the muscles that literally hold your erection in place. And here's where it ties beautifully into our topic: circulation-friendly bedtime drinks can improve blood flow, while pelvic floor training ensures that blood is trapped effectively in the penis. It's a 1-2 punch. The drink supports the fuel, and the muscles hold it where it needs to be. Women listening, this matters for you too. Pelvic floor training improves vaginal tightness, lubrication response, orgasm intensity, and bladder control. And couples who train together often find intimacy improves not just physically, but emotionally. So imagine this: an 80-year-old man who drinks a small glass of pomegranate juice before bed, strengthens his pelvic floor daily, and gets restful sleep. Instead of relying on a pill, he's retraining his body to function as it was designed, naturally, efficiently, and with confidence. That's the deeper message here. Your body isn't failing you. It may just be undertrained or undernourished in certain areas. With the right fuel, the right habits, and a little consistency, remarkable improvements are possible, even in your 70 and 80. If you've ever thought, it's too late for me, I want you to hear this clearly. It is never too late to improve function. Your body is remarkably adaptive. Give it the right tools, and it will surprise you. We've built the foundation: circulation, hydration, nitric oxide, hormones, and pelvic floor strength. Now let's get to the part you've been waiting for: the bedtime drinks that research and clinical experience suggest can make a real difference. First, a reminder: these are not miracle cures. They don't replace medical treatment if you have an underlying condition, but they can be powerful allies when used consistently, especially at night when your body is naturally primed for repair. Here are 4 of the most effective. 1. Beet juice. Beets are one of the richest natural sources of dietary nitrates. As we've discussed, your body converts these nitrates into nitric oxide, which relaxes blood vessels and improves circulation. Studies show that even a single serving of beet juice can lower blood pressure and enhance blood flow within hours. How to use it: try 4-6 ounces of beet juice about an hour before bed. Keep it light. More isn't better, especially if you're prone to stomach sensitivity. Some men notice improved morning erections after just a few nights. 2. Pomegranate juice. This is a polyphenol powerhouse. Polyphenols protect the inner lining of blood vessels and stimulate nitric oxide release. In addition, pomegranate has antioxidant effects that support testosterone production and reduce oxidative stress in penile tissue. How to use it: 4 ounces diluted with water, ideally in the evening. Too much can be high in sugar, so keep it moderate. Taken regularly, men often notice firmer, longer-lasting erections and improved energy. 3. Tart cherry juice. This is one of the best natural sources of melatonin, the sleep hormone. Remember, deep sleep is when testosterone and growth hormone rise. Supporting your sleep quality directly supports your sexual function. Tart cherry also contains compounds that reduce inflammation in blood vessels. How to use it: 4 or 6 ounces about 30-60 minutes before bed. Many people report not only better erections, but also more restful, uninterrupted sleep. 4. Warm milk with tryptophan. It may sound old-fashioned, but there's science here. Milk contains tryptophan, an amino acid that the brain uses to produce serotonin, later converted into melatonin. This calms the nervous system, lowers cortisol, and promotes deeper sleep cycles. And remember, sleep is when testosterone surges. How to use it: a small warm cup, not a full glass, about 20-30 minutes before bed. For men with lactose intolerance, lactose-free or plant-based alternatives fortified with tryptophan can work as well. Now here's the key: these drinks aren't about instant fireworks. They're about setting your body up for success. If you try one consistently for 3 nights, especially beet juice, tart cherry, or pomegranate, you may notice changes like stronger morning erections, better stamina, or deeper sleep. But the real power comes with consistency. A quick myth bust: you might think, if 1 glass is good, 2 or 3 must be better. That's not true. With circulation, balance is key. Too much fluid late at night can disrupt sleep with bathroom trips, which cancels out the hormonal benefits. Small, steady amounts work best. And remember, women listening, these drinks are not just for men. Improved circulation, reduced inflammation, and better sleep also enhance vaginal lubrication, orgasm intensity, and bladder health. Couples who share these habits often find their intimacy improves together. So if you're curious, pick one of these drinks and try it for 3 nights. Notice how your body responds. It might not feel dramatic right away, but subtle shifts in morning energy, confidence, and arousal often show up first, and they build from there. We've covered a lot together today, from circulation to hydration, nitric oxide to hormones, pelvic floor strength to specific bedtime drinks. All of these pieces fit into one bigger truth: sexual vitality is not just about pills, and it's not just about age. It's about how well you support your body's natural systems. Let's recap the key insights. Erections are a vascular event. Just like a balloon depends on air pressure, your erection depends on blood flow, and aging arteries need a little more support. Hydration and circulation at night matter. The body repairs during sleep, and a well-hydrated vascular system makes that repair more effective. Nitric oxide is essential. Without it, blood vessels can't relax. Drinks like beet juice and pomegranate help your body make more of it naturally. Hormones play a central role. Testosterone, estrogen, insulin, and cortisol all influence erection, stamina, and desire. Supporting sleep and reducing stress are just as important as what you drink. The pelvic floor is your hidden powerhouse. Strengthening it gives you control, endurance, and stability, benefits for both men and women. And finally, specific bedtime drinks: beet juice, pomegranate juice, tart cherry juice, or warm milk can give your body the building blocks it needs to restore function naturally and consistently. Now here's the most important takeaway: your body isn't broken. It's adaptive. What feels like loss of function with age is often just your body asking for different support. The truth is, even in your 70 or 80, change is possible. Circulation can improve, hormones can balance, muscles can strengthen, intimacy can flourish. If you remember one thing from this consultation, let it be this: you deserve to feel informed, empowered, and in control of your sexual health. These topics are not shameful, they're human. And the more we talk about them, the more we break down the silence that isolates so many men and women. So tonight, choose one small change. Maybe it's swapping out alcohol for tart cherry juice. Maybe it's a short pelvic floor exercise session. Maybe it's a warm glass of milk before bed to support deeper sleep. These steps may feel simple, but their effects compound. Stay curious, stay consistent, and stay compassionate with yourself, because sexual health is not just about performance, it's about confidence, intimacy, and vitality across your whole life. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. You're not alone in these experiences, and if you want more grounded, judgment-free education on sexual wellness, hormone health, and vitality, subscribe and join our community. Remember, you deserve truth, not shame, and we're here to give you both. Stay curious, stay informed, and know that your body is worthy of care.